promise to be smart and not screw this up. Now I'm gonna do what I'm told. Here's an example to start. Oops, I blew it up. So what? So what? I know better than you, and I'd like to see you try and stop me. I've got to prove myself and see this through, and you won't be able to stop me, stop me, stop me. Now you're only getting in my way. I could really shine if you would set me free, and I don't really care what you say. The decision is mine. You'll have to follow me. Where I go, 'cause you're no longer in charge, and you won't be able to stop me. 'Cause I know, as we travel across these stars, nobody will be able to stop me. I know you'll try, but you will never succeed, except aside from trying to convince me I made a choice, a murderer, and that was wrong. Suicide will be my song. I win. There's nothing that you can do, and you haven't been able to stop me. You lose. I've proven I'm superior to you. No one in the universe can stop me. No one in the universe can stop me. No one in the universe can stop me. Nothing in the universe can stop me.
Hi, this is Na Visitor, Major Kira Nerys from Deep Space Nine, and you are listening to the biggest little show this side of the Gamma Quadrant, the Trek Geeks podcast with Bill Smith and Dan Davidson.
I see I muted, but my co-host didn't, so all you heard was his glass. And you didn't hear me. Live from Podfleet Command, it's the biggest little show this side of the Alpha Quadrant, the flagship of the Trek Geeks Podcast Network. Greetings, one and all, ladies, gentlemen, children of all ages, and welcome to the Trek Geeks Podcast. I'm your co-host, Bill Smith, and joining me, as he is often wont to do, is my redoubtable co-host. He's the largely unmutable Dan Davidson, and I bring you in earlier than normal on this one, buddy, because we got a special event going on here.
Oh
we're
my
live.
gosh, we're live. Thanks. I am highly doubtable. I will say that. I doubt myself very often for joining you on this podcast live, but I'm very excited. It's going to be a great time. It's something that we've been talking about for a while, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really glad that, again, Bill, you came up with a good idea. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what you're eating. I don't know what you're drinking, but it's working. So keep up the good work, buddy.
It doesn't happen very often, I assure you.
No, I know.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
My pleasure.
But, we do it when we can. We do it however we can. And it just seemed like a good idea to do this time to kind of go live and say hi to folks, because here we are in month 5 of this sort of quarantine and pandemic. And what better way to engage with folks and say hey than to have them ask us stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. As we think about it, we would actually be flying home from Vegas today. We would probably just have gotten home a couple of hours ago. Last week was a drag, and I feel that, let's do something positive and make people smile and not worry about Vegas this year, because we got Vegas maybe later this year, but definitely next summer.
Well, here's hoping that it's in Vegas next summer. I mean, we don't know, right?
I know. Who knows? I'm gonna keep positive thoughts on that one, because it's been way too long.
Well, tonight, as we mentioned, we're going to convene to Ask Us Anything. And Dan, I'm going to ask you to turn up your volume or move your mic a little closer to you, because you're a little quieter than you were before, which is unreal, quite frankly.
That doesn't happen often.
No, it really doesn't.
No.
But normally around this juncture, we would ask you to regale folks with how to get in touch with us. And you know what? We're going to do that live.
Wow. Well, all right. Well, if you're looking to get in touch with us, you can head right on over to trekgeeks.com/contact, and there you're going to find a multitude of ways to communicate with either Bill or myself. Let's see. There's Skype chat. There's always email. And there's even a giant blue button on the right-hand side of the screen, and you can click on that and send us a voicemail using SpeakPipe. Whatever way you want to contact us, just make it so, because we love hearing from you. Plus, there's always the most positive Star Trek group on Facebook. It is Camp Kittimer. It's our official group, and it's where over 1,700 other friends gather to talk Trek. It's always positive, and there's never any bashing or gatekeeping allowed. To join the group, just head on over to facebook.com/groups/Camp Kittimer. And be ready to be part of truly a wonderful social experience. And as always, we want to thank our wonderful admins, Haley, Jackie, and Dan, for the amazing job they do running the camp. But, Bill, I must say that please remember that any comments or messages that you leave us in any of these places may be used in a future episode. Back to you.
Thank you. That's lovely.
I'm going to drink out of my Gorn glass right now.
Oh, is that the glass that was making all the noise?
It was. Sorry about that. We're live. It happens.
We're live, and we are live. We do see your comments. So, hey, Debbie, it's good to see you, or at least see you virtually. Hey, Brooke. And good evening to Ryan. Thanks for being here. I see he decided to watch on Facebook.
All our friends.
And Legacy Trek, I noticed we're streaming live and you're not.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't even know if we're going to show the question that he posed already. We definitely like Emily better, so that question doesn't even have to be answered later.
Yeah,
thanks, Mike.
Asked and answered. Hey, Marina. Marina was recently on the Trek Geeks podcast just a couple of weeks ago. Robbie, greetings to you from Scotland. It's got to be pretty late over there, so thank you for tuning in.
Nice.
Hey, Rob. Hey, Horizon Brave, one of our YouTube subscribers.
My goodness.
And that's just and hey, Justin, just a sampling of the comments that we have going on. But we're going to take a quick timeout and get ready for Dan's favorite segment of the week.
Oh, my.
Dan, it's time for the news from TrekNews.net. Hold on. Spanning the Alpha Quadrant. For all the news on all the Star Treks, yo. It's TrekNews.net. You look like you were having a kidney stone
I
there.
think I just passed something.
Online at treknews.net. Dan Davidson never disappoints. First up, Dan, as we know, as everyone knows by now, Lower Decks is premiered on CBS All Access and on, I don't know, some rinky-dink service in Canada. And the reviews so far have been extremely positive.
Yeah, and as they should, Bill. The show is exactly the boost of humor and optimism and fun that we really need right now. And as you said, positive reviews regarding Mike McMahon's new animated show series have been pouring in. IndieWire says that the CBS All Access new animated comedy series, quote, Star Trek Lower Deck embraces the Trek dynamic perfectly. That's pretty cool. Den of Geeks says in their 4 out of 5 star review that these characters feel right. They feel like Starfleet. They're not heroes, maybe not yet, but they belong in the world of Star Trek for sure. And some piddly little website called treknews.nerd or .net, something like that. I'm not really sure. But they say that if you're worried about how this show will fit with the shows we know and love, don't worry. Lower Decks pilot Second Contact sets a great first impression for this highly anticipated series as it combines fast-paced humor, a self-reflexive awareness of Star Trek history and culture, and a pleasing art style to grab the attention of old and new Star Trek fans alike. And hey, listeners, if by chance you're curious about how people here on the Trek Geeks Podcast Network really feel about the new show, you could just, happen to check out our premiere episode of Discovering Trek Lower Decks with Bill, Sarah from Rewind, old guy Casey Shafsky, and myself, available right now.
It is available right now wherever fine podcasts are purveyed. Not a shock. I mean, there's going to be a segment of people who hate anything new. Just like it's going on in the chat for this very broadcast right now, and that's fine. Not every Trek resonates with every person. Voyager didn't resonate with me for almost 20 years. Mm-hmm. So we're going to celebrate what we love, and I'm happy. I'm confident saying I love Lower Decks, and I'm sure you are too, Dan.
I love you, Bill.
Whoa. No, I'm not ready for that.
Okay, we're live.
Up next, Dan, as we all know, Star Trek movies from Paramount are currently a big question mark. And the latest reports really just kind of make it more confusing.
Yeah, I really don't know which way is up at this point, but I guess it doesn't matter because in space there is no up. Am I right? Ba-doom smash.
No one can hear me scream in space either, as I'm wont to do right now.
Sorry. Anyway, Deadline is reporting that Paramount Pictures has put a pause on the Star Trek film in development, which was to be written and directed by Fargo's Noah Hawley. Emma Watts, who is in charge of Paramount's motion picture group, is reported to be in the process of figuring out which way to go for the Trek film franchise. She is considering the Quentin Tarantino Trek project that we've discussed several times here on Trek News, as well as a Star Trek Beyond follow-up that was to be directed by S.J. Clarkson before salary negotiations with Chris Pine and Chris Hemsworth seemed to kill that project back in 2018. A couple of more points to confuse you more thoroughly.
Easy to do.
Yeah. Easy to do with you, I know. According to one source, the Hawley film would bring in a new cast and would deal with some kind of virus crisis, which, of course, in today's current situation with COVID-19, probably wouldn't appeal to too many people. But a different source says that same project would bring back all the major actors to reprise their Kelvin timeline roles. So basically nobody knows what's going on. And also, the Tarantino project, which, by the way, he has dropped off of being the director of, is rumored to be related to the classic TOS episode A Piece of the Action. And one more. They're all over the place, dude.
just like you.
Exactly. Just to keep the naysayers and gatekeepers frothing at the mouth, Deadline also says that Paramount is Star Trek's top priority, with Viacom CBS wanting to make sure they get it right. They also say that the Beyond follow-up involves time travel and Chris Pine's Kirk meeting up with his father, Chris Hemsworth, may now have the, quote, cleanest path forward? Which really makes no sense because Hemsworth walked away. But I don't know about you. I'm just going to stick to watching CBS All Access right now.
Me too. Well, let's be honest. The only reason Hemsworth and Pine walked away is because Paramount wanted to pay them less than the contract that they signed.
Yeah.
So the problem with the Pine-Hemsworth team-up isn't Pine and Hemsworth. At least in our opinion.
Exactly.
Usually if you sign a contract, you should pay the people. It's not their fault that they signed the deal before the Beyond numbers came back.
You think? Hell, those weren't good numbers.
They weren't awesome.
They weren't awesome, but they weren't fantastic.
They weren't terrible.
No, your face is terrible.
Oh, wow. It's the first Your Face of the Night. Is not the last one.
No, it isn't, I'm sure.
I'm sure. And Dan, finally, with Discovery Season 3 still just a couple of months out, it's getting closer and closer. That didn't stop CBS from releasing some marketing picks, and one of them has caused quite a stir.
Yeah, it sure has. I'm all for it, man. More Star Trek swag is always a good thing. And what I mean by that is recently CBS All Access posted a couple picks for the new Lower Deck series, as well as Discovery Season 3. And in the Discovery pick, Sonequa Martin Green, by the way, congrats on the new baby, Sonequa. She can be seen sporting Michael Burnham's new look, which includes a spiffy new Starfleet comm badge. Now, I'm sure we're going to find out the reason for the change as the series debuts in October. But for now, I'm willing to bet our friends at Fansets are hard at work getting all the specifics. As Deanna Troi might say, I sense great pins coming. Yes, pins and gratitude.
That is not what she said.
It's not?
No.
She didn't say pins and gratitude?
No.
I'm sorry.
No, it's joy and gratitude.
Joy to you, friends. Peace and tranquility.
Peace and tranquility.
Sorry, I get my lines mixed up all the time.
I'm only amazed that there were several phrases throughout news that you didn't mess up.
I don't mess up anymore.
A feature film franchise. I was waiting for you to stumble through that, almost like Slipstream.
Bazoonga.
That's news for this week. I have to agree with Marina. Pins are joy.
That's right.
Not incorrect.
That's correct.
Not remotely. And speaking of pins, Dan, you know, it's the 15th of the month coming up very soon. And that means it's time for new Fansets pins.
Oh my God, I love new Fansets pins. 1st and 15th of the month. 1st and 15th of the month. See, you didn't screw that up either. It's always awesome. The 15th of the month is coming up, and Fansets is continuing to expand their library of pins. All you Enterprise fans will be very excited that on August 15th, Mako Soldier Major Hayes becomes available to add to your collection. And I got to say, the detail on this pin, as you can see on your screen right now, is really incredible. He's wearing that familiar camouflage outfit and looks ready for action against the Xindi. In addition to this great new Star Trek pin, don't forget that Fansets recently released some really beautiful new pieces to add to your ever-growing collection for the women of Trek. 3 new pins recently came out: T'Pol from Enterprise, Jadzia Dax from Deep Space Nine, and of course 7 of 9 from Star Trek Voyager. Plus, the second release from their new full-size Delta collection is available, and it is the Star Trek Discovery Command Insignia Delta. And all of these pins, they're just amazing and are available right now at fansets.com.
So head on over to fansets.com, put a bunch of pins and accessories and gift certificates into your cart. Because remember, if you spend more than $30, you will get free shipping. And we love free shipping. On top of that, for 15% off your entire order, enter the discount code for this week that you see on the screen now, Your Face. That's right, Your Face in all capital letters with no spaces. This 15% off bonus code will be available to use from right now as we record until Wednesday, August 19th, 2020 at midnight Eastern Daylight Time.
Fansets. Our pins have character. And we thank our friends at Fansets for being the presenting sponsor of Trek Geeks.
Well, Dan, as I make a mistake with the video here.
But that's okay because you're cool and we all appreciate you.
Well, I appreciate me. That's really all that matters. We are going to have folks ask us a whole bunch of questions now as we start the main body of the episode. We thank everyone for staying with us. So if you have a question, you haven't already entered it, go into the comments on Facebook or YouTube, jot it down or type it in. I guess you don't really jot stuff down on your keyboard. Maybe you do if you're
jot?
Dan.
Dom Jot. I don't know what jot is.
Dom Jot human.
There you go.
That was not bad. And we're going to do our best to answer them. We have no idea what you all are going to ask. We haven't seen these questions in advance, obviously. And we're just going to sort of pick things at random.
Randomize. Get your randomizer going. Blah, 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 blah,
Actually, I'm going to take this one first because it relates to something in news.
Okay.
Horizon Brave asks, Trek Geeks, you've made it clear you don't want a Tarantino movie because it's not Trek. What about Lower Decks is different? To me, it's very akin to something. That's not what we said. What I said specifically is Tarantino doesn't deserve to be involved with the Star Trek franchise because of his involvement in Me Too. He's suspect at best. I don't think that he should be given the reins of a Star Trek project when his own behavior has been disgusting.
That's a good way to put it. I wouldn't say that Tarantino is not Trek. I don't really think that Tarantino's body of work encompasses something that we would be, recognize as Trek. As far as Lower Decks goes, I think Lower Decks is very Trek. It's a very Trek environment. It's TNG era. From what I understand, it takes place only a couple of years or a year after Nemesis. I think it's very Trek. There's humor, and maybe that's not what people recognize as Trek with humor, which I think is very welcome, and I like it. It's grown-up animation, which I think is great too. And we've talked about things that made people not consider as Trek in the past, whether it be the suffering that people are enduring during Picard or the language. But you know what? They're human too, and I don't have a problem with that, and I never really have, to be honest with you. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, I mean, Quentin Tarantino has long been questioned for his response to, or his conduct regarding women on the set. He has had his own issues with Uma Thurman, which he's since apologized for. But his defense of Harvey Weinstein alone is rather disgusting. I'm not comfortable with him being part of Star Trek, honestly. There are a bunch of other people who I think would do a great movie, like S.J. Clarkson, who was supposed to direct the fourth Kelvin Timeline movie.
Yeah, I agree. And also I'd say that, I'm basing the opinion that what I feel about Tarantino and a Trek movie might not be the right thing, like I said, based on what I've seen of his works.
Yeah,
but that's not to say that if he came out with a script that was fantastic Trek and was what people like to consider a Trek movie, I'd be all for it. I just don't see it happening.
And I like Tarantino's work. I mean, Reservoir Dogs is one of my favorite films of all time. The first Kill Bill to me is just it's gorgeous. It's a fantastic, fun movie. There are a bunch of other people I would love to see do a Star Trek movie.
Yeah.
He's not one of them. So, so there's question number one right off the bat.
Boom. Thanks, Horizon.
Yeah,
Right off the that was a sweaty one. I'm sweating.
Pressure's off. I don't know if the pressure is truly off. Let's answer this one officially, since it did get brought up. Legacy Trek. How much more do you prefer Emily to Mike? It's not even a contest.
There's not enough air in the world.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Wow. I can't even believe that Mike would ask that question, because we know Mike asked it. No, we're just kidding. Cool. We love both of them. Emily and Mike, they're awesome. They got a great podcast over there in Legacy Trek. I'll never forget the weekend we were in New York and met both of them, and she gave us the drawing that she did on their drive up to New York. Fantastic people, but yeah, way prefer Emily. Just saying.
Producer Casey Shafsky asks, what was your first Trek gift and purchase? I'll let you go first on that one.
I haven't the slightest idea. I really don't. I can say that I think I may have talked about this before. It wasn't a gift or purchase, but I think of Trek merchandise, and one of the things that I always think of is this really cool metallic poster that my brother had of the Enterprise in his room at our house when we were growing up. It was really great. And I had this I had this like metal wand. It was like a car antenna thing that you could extend it and be you'd be like a maestro or something. And I was fooling around, joking around or something in his room one day, and I took that thing and I just went whoosh right across the front of it, and the whole metallic thing just scraped right off the front of the Enterprise hull. And yeah, that was when I think I really became a Star Trek fan.
Oh man, that's so awesome.
I mean, that's really the first memory I have about merchandise. I think one of the first things I really bought that I really wanted and put the money down for was the Franklin Mint Star Trek chess collection that came out way back in the 80s. You get two pieces every other month, and then the board. Waiting for that thing to be complete was just pure torture. But I still have it. It's downstairs in the basement.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I hold that?
No, that is a very stupid question.
I'm trying to think. The first Trek gift I ever received was the Star Trek popsicle makers as a kid. Remember those? You dump
yes.
like fruit juice or like Kool-Aid in them,
Vodka?
and you pop them. Well, at 6, 7 years old, I don't think I was doing that.
Oh, sorry, bourbon.
You put them in the freezer, and they were in the shapes of Captain Kirk, Mr. Spock, Scotty, and I think Bones, or no, Klingon.
Yes, that's right. Oh my
I
gosh.
think it's been so long since I've seen them, but that was the first Trek thing I ever received. I want to say I was about 7 or 8. The first Trek thing I ever purchased, I was. This goes back to my George Takei story.
Oh, that's a good story.
So it was Manchester, New Hampshire. I was about 16, I think. So this is mid '80s, and there was a convention in Manchester, New Hampshire, and George was the headliner, and I did not have the money to go to the con. Straight up about that right now. All I wanted to do was go into the dealer's room and see if I could maybe take the $10 I had and find something Star Trek to buy. Because at this point, I'm still a huge Star Trek fan. This is before anyone knows about TNG. And I'm like, well, I've seen those Starfleet Academy decals. I would like to get one of those for the car I'm going to get. So that would be in my back window. That would be prime.
Yeah.
So I went through the dealer's room. I found one of those Starfleet Academy decals. It was $5. I'm pretty sure that's what they cost today. So I probably got robbed.
Did you get 2?
No, I didn't. I said, well, maybe there's something else I can buy for $5. There wasn't.
all right. Oh, okay.
Spoiler alert. And then I went back out into the lobby. My mom actually gave me a ride to the con. We lived about an hour away. And next thing I know, I'm standing there looking out the window waiting for my ride, and I get tapped on the shoulder. I'm the only one in the lobby. And it's George Takei.
Oh, my goodness.
And he goes, are you going inside? And I'm like, it's Mr. Sulu. I'm like, I don't have a ticket. I can't go. He goes, I think if you come with me, it's going to be okay. And so George Takei snuck me into my first Star Trek convention the same day I made my very first Star Trek purchase.
That's pretty. That's a good story to have your first Star Trek purchase attached to. Would you like to come into the convention, Bill?
It's at that point when Mr. Sulu is tapping on your shoulder and it's just you and him. It's like, well, I have to say something.
That's pretty cool. I would have been like, yeah, that would have been my reaction.
I love how Fark asks, mid-'80s, did a flock of seagulls perform? No, it's Manchester, New Hampshire. We couldn't get flock of seagulls.
But it was a Spock of seagulls.
Shut up.
That's what he said. Hey, look at that. Fark with a
I read it wrong.
with a Spockism.
That's very true.
Yes.
So Dan, if you want to scroll through the L comments there, you can pick a question.
I'd be happy to do that. Let's get this one right out of the way. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this person's
I don't read
name.
Cyrillic. I'm sorry.
But I love the letters in the name, so that's good. If you had to only recommend one episode or movie to someone who has never seen Star Trek before, what would be your pick, Bill, to show them?
Well, this goes back to the age-old question of, what do you use to introduce Star Trek, to somebody? And it's hard, you know. Some people say, you want to show them a movie. Some people say you want to show them an episode, and then they want to pick a specific series. I'm going to go back to the episode that I saw first because I think it is a fine introduction into what Star Trek is, and that's the Corbomite maneuver. Mm-hmm. I saw it for the first time when I was about 6 years old, and I immediately understood what it all meant. I understood that there was something bigger. I understood that there was something more than bad guys because Baylock wasn't a bad guy.
Right. Yep.
And if I could understand that at 6 years old, I think it's a fairly good introduction for anyone to understand really what's at the core of Star Trek. Are there others I could pick? Oh my God, yeah. You could pick anything from like the measure of a man. Mm-hmm. You could pick Blink of an Eye from Voyager. That's a great episode.
Yeah, that's Code
you
of
don't necessarily
Honor.
need to know what's going on there.
Yeah.
But what about you, buddy?
Code of Honor. No.
Let's not talk about that.
No. I would have to say I'd be right there with you. I mean, it's kind of hard to answer that question because there's so many different versions of Trek that have their own uniqueness to it. But I go back to you. One of the first episodes I saw when I was a kid was Balance of Terror. And back then, you had Westerns. You had cowboys and Indians fighting each other. And you had bank robbers and cops. You had good guy versus bad guy. And in this episode, you had Kirk versus the Romulan commander. And it was kind of that submarine cat and mouse that we always like to talk about. And the Romulan commander, for all intents and purposes, wasn't a bad guy either. He was doing the exact same thing that Kirk does on the other side. So for all the people who were watching Star Trek in the Romulan Empire, he was the good guy and Kirk was the bad guy, and it's just kind of reversed the way you looked at it. And I always looked at that one as one of the ones that I would want to introduce someone who had never heard about Star Trek before to show them what it originally was like. Now, like you said, there are so many other ones that you could show. Inner Light, The Visitor. There's so many great things. Star Trek II, of course, which is always considered one of the finest Star Trek movies ever. It's hard to pick just one now when you have, 800 plus episodes of Star Trek television plus all of the movies. It's not easy to do, but I'd go with Balance of Terror.
I don't think you can go wrong with Balance of Terror. I mean, it is in itself an amazing piece of television. It does not get bad.
Yeah.
It doesn't. I don't think you can go wrong. I mean, if we watched it, it was good enough for us as kids.
Absolutely.
I'm going to let you pick another one while I try to do some.
I saw one a few minutes ago that I thought was great. Let me see if I can find that one again. Okay, here we go. Yeah, this is a good one because this has come up a lot. Wyatt asks, with Star Trek Picard bringing 7 back to the Trek universe, who do you hope to see come back to the small screen? Because there's a lot of characters to choose from.
Ooh. That's rough.
And there's some rumors out there right now, too, which are kind of interesting. But I like this question because there's so many great characters in all the iterations of Star Trek. So what do you think?
Pick a small screen character. My gut wants me to say Cisco, but I know that we're never going to see Avery Brooks, in Star Trek again.
And to jump on that, nobody else should ever play Cisco.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say Janeway.
Wow, this is going to be a real boring segment then. I was going to say, we talked about her last week, and she has become a favorite captain of both of us. And I would say, we saw her come back real quick in Insurrection. Was it Insurrection? Yeah. No, it wasn't. It was Nemesis. She came back for very quickly for Nemesis. I'd love to see her come back in Picard in some fashion. If not Picard, I talked about rumors I know they come from sites that you can never really take any credit to, but people have been rumoring now that she may have a spin-off series. I'm not going to believe it. I can't imagine that that's anything that's remotely going on right now. I would love to see a cameo, at least, of Janeway back in the Picard series to see what's been up with her for the past 20-plus years. I think that would be great. But
I'd also... Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, but also, if I really had to pick a character, and we can't do this one either because we're not going to have it, I would love to see Odo again. But, of course, with Renee's passing, I don't want to see anybody else play him. But I'd love to see what's going on with the Dominion and with the Founders at some point.
That would be interesting. I don't think it's ever going to happen.
Oh, I don't either, yeah.
And nobody else can play Odo. That's
never.
That's not even on the table. You're very boring. I'd love to see a Captain Proton short in the short treks. I think that would be amazing. Just keep it, in the Captain Proton world. Don't even expand it. Don't see them enter the holodeck. Just make it a Captain Proton standalone story.
Short trek.
Yeah,
Captain Proton short. That's a great one. I like that. No, that's great. You're fantastic, Bill.
Wow.
See, you call me boring. I call you fantastic. So I think everybody can see where we're coming from.
I think the truth is out there. I think if I had a method to conduct an online poll, I think that your boring factor would go off the scale.
I got one more. I think that'll be interesting because it's going to be you have to think about, and the other one's not going to have to think about it at all. So I'm going to throw another one up here on screen, and it's from Mark. What was your guys' first STLV like?
I'm going to let you go first because yours is more recent.
Mine was very recent. It was 5 years ago now. It was only my first one.
Yeah.
I was not planning on going until the 50th anniversary for Trek, but decided to go. and it was amazingly overwhelming. I had never experienced anything like it. I had been to small conventions. We'd been to Trek Boss in 2014, and I had been to a couple conventions when I was younger. There was one actually in Nashua, New Hampshire at the Holiday Inn, which anybody who knows Nashua is like, oh my God, really? There were like 40 people there. To go into this area where when you're walking down the hallway and you've got thousands of people all in cosplay, and then you've got Trek stars just walking past, saying hi, bumping fists, waving. It was like, what is this real? And of course, that auditorium where all of the seats are for watching people on stage was like the biggest indoor seating area that I think I've ever seen. It was just amazing. It was awesome. We made so many new friends, and it was one of those things. It's like, okay, this is going to happen every year. I'm just not ever going to miss one. And then now here we are.
Yeah. I mine goes back many more years. Because my first STLV was at the Las Vegas Hilton, or the former Las Vegas Hilton.
Nice.
Back when Star Trek The Experience was still there and operating.
Yeah.
And I want to say it was like 2008, maybe.
Wow, that's a while
I could have the year wrong. But it was a daze, that's for sure, because all I did was go to the con, which was not nearly, if you can believe this, not nearly as nice as the Rio, and that's saying something.
Whoa.
Because the Rio is a pit.
But it's our pit.
Not anymore.
Not anymore, it isn't.
Not anymore, it isn't. And I had a fantastic time. That's where I got my Avery Brooks autograph.
Yeah.
Which was amazing. I'd never met him before, and I wish I had brought a baseball. I didn't think of it. I don't know why.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But lots of people were having him sign baseballs, which I thought was cool.
Yep.
But it was amazing. It was not as awe-inspiring as walking into that main theater at the Rio, not remotely.
That's big.
And the dealer's room was certainly much smaller.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the experience was there, which really was what made it awesome.
Right. And luckily, I get to see the experience. Sue and I went out to Vegas, I think, the year before it closed, and we got to experience the experience, and that was pretty awesome. But I'll tell you what, that dealer's room, whoa, that is if you haven't been to STLV, I mean, it's going to be different now because it's going to be at a different venue, but that dealer's room was immense. I mean, it was so big that one year they like threw 10 forward, like real size 10 forward in the middle of it, which kind of threw everybody for a loop. But that's a different story for a different time. But yeah, lots of cool things, lots of good memories from that first STLV.
I'm sorry, I have to throw this up because I just read it. What was that one TOS episode where some ugly alien threatening to take out the Enterprise, but it turned out just to be an ugly podcaster? Oh yeah, that's right. It's the Corbomite maneuver.
Now I know why he doesn't like them when I do them. No, I'm just kidding. No, that was a good one, Fark. I saw that in the comments, and I'm like, go play your drums.
Go play your drums. STLV is. I'm interested to see what it's like at the new venue. Allegedly, and we can't. There's been no information, so we don't know. This was supposed to be the last year that Creation had the license for the con before they re-upped. We don't know what the deal is, if they'll have it next year, if it'll be in Vegas next year. We just don't know. This year, in December, for now, it's supposed to be at the brand new Caesars Conference Center behind Harrah's. But I can't see it happening at this point, not with it being August now and there not being any kind of planing out of COVID infections.
No, it's too bad. I mean, when they announced that it was going to be in between Thanksgiving and Christmas, I was instantly like, nope, I'm not going. And I thought at that point, it's not going to be ready by then anyway for people to be able to go to events like that. And that certainly seems to be the case now. But it was scratched off my list right when they said when it was going to be, because 2 weeks prior, I was supposed to be in London with my wife to see my nephew and go to the convention out there, and we canceled that. So yeah, not going to Vegas this year at all.
I used to go to Vegas that weekend every year when I worked at a different job because that's when a bunch of us would go, and it just happened to be during the National Finals rodeo. So Vegas was always a zoo. It's the largest, I'm not really into rodeo, but it's the largest rodeo event on the calendar every year. It's kind of like the Super Bowl of rodeo, from what I understand. And it is scheduled for that same weekend again this year. So Vegas could be a disaster in more ways than one.
Wow.
If the convention still goes on. So.
Well, so let me
Yes.
ask you this.
Yeah.
Do we have one more before we take any type of break, or we want to? I got another one.
You don't get a break.
I don't. Oh.
Or you can give me another one. That's fine.
All right, this is a good one because I've been thinking about this for a couple of minutes while you've been rambling on. I really haven't been paying attention.
You've probably been thinking about it for a couple of days. I mean, I know how much brain power you're working with.
John Dean asked this one. If CBS made you a showrunner, which would be a disaster in itself.
That's not happening.
And you could start your own new series or revisit a previous series, what would it be?
That's a great question. Well, being the showrunner presumes that I'm the head writer. And so I have to go with what I think the best concept would be. Let's see. We've done a space station. I don't want to do that again. We've done an Enterprise. I don't necessarily want to do that again. We've done a ship lost far, far from home. I don't think I want to go that way. I think that I would... and I want to say I don't want to do a mirror universe, and I don't want to do anything temporal.
Okay.
I think I would go back to Star Trek's roots. I don't know that I would make it episodic.
Okay.
Because I don't know that I would do that, but I think I would go more for exploration. Perhaps it's a more of a long exploration arc than it is a Alien of the Week or Planet of the Week type thing.
Okay.
And I would probably set it probably maybe 75 years after Next Gen, or after Nemesis, I should say.
Okay.
Or maybe I might pick up on one of the threads from Star Trek Online and do something along those lines. But I think I would center it around exploration again. Perhaps we're back in the Delta Quadrant, but a different part because we're exploring now. We've made it further out 75 years hence.
I like that.
Yeah. That's kind of where my head's at, just sort of off the cuff. What about you?
Well, you said it in what you were talking about, and nobody's going to be surprised when I say this. I would want to do a mirror universe series. However, I would want it to be very specific. A lot of specificity has to be involved in this. And by that, I mean I want it to start right after Mirror Mirror ended, which we kind of saw in Star Trek Continues, but we would not have that as part of the story because David Mack, of course, my favorite Star Trek novel is Sorrows of Empire. And it deals with Spock becoming the leader of the Empire,
right?
And what happens and the tie-ins. I would like a novel. I would like a premier mirror universe movie to be that book, 2-hour multi-week event or whatever. And then I would like it to spin off into mirror universe adventures. Doesn't have to be a particular crew, doesn't have to be a particular character. Maybe all of them mixed in because we've seen it on Deep Space Nine, we've seen it in TNG novels. So I think you could put all kinds of different, time frames or whatever in there. But everybody knows what a huge fan of Mirror Universe I am, and I think that David's book should be a movie, a TV movie, and then just a series building off of that. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Wow. So would you have Ethan Peck play Spock?
Sure. Why not?
Yeah.
I'm the showrunner, so actually, yeah, I would. I'd call him up. Ethan, buddy, get the ears on. Let's go.
Ring-a-ding-ding.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's a great Spock, and I think he'd be a good. We've seen him with the beard, so we trim that bad boy up and get the goatee, and he'd be ready to go.
Evil Spock. I guess not evil, just misunderstood. Much like your face.
My face is very misunderstood, but I'll give you credit for that one. That novel, if you're a Mirror Universe fan,
yeah, it's fantastic.
That book is great. I mean, there is so much Star Trek wrapped into that novel because he's a Vulcan, so of course he lives a long time. He's married to Marlena Moreau, and there's the Trill homeworld is in it. And there's so much going on, and it makes sense what happens in this book, and I recommend it to everybody.
Fair enough. I've read it. Actually, I've been able to read those words, and I got through it, which is a plus. And I have to agree with you. It's a fantastic book. You recommended it to me as one of the first ones to take on a vacation I was on a couple of years ago, and it didn't disappoint one bit.
Nice.
So Dan, we're going to do a little business with America here and talk about some friends of ours.
They are good friends, and we love to talk about them, Bill. The Science Division and our friends Kaylia and Jay, of course, they are the makers of the galaxy's first interactive Tribble that you can actually control with your smartphone.
I love this Tribble. He's always here, keeping me company. And the best part is, unlike you, he doesn't annoy me. He's got a wonderful disposition.
You know why?
No, why?
I'm going to tell you why. Are you ready?
Okay. Yeah.
Because Tribbles are not dangerous, Bill. They're Tribbles, Anyway, yeah, the Science Division Tribble is a definite must-add to any Star Trek fan's collection. It doesn't just look great on your desk, though. No. These Tribbles seem so real, it's incredible. It's like they've beamed down from Space Station K7, Bill. Plus they're interactive. They have 3 modes: at ease, when they're happy and content; on duty, which is a random mix of happy and angry sounds; and watchdog, where you can be sure that Klingon secret agents are close by. Now, you don't have to use the app to enjoy your Tribble, but if you do, there's also an attack button, which makes your Tribble scream on demand at friends, family, or stupid and idiotic co-hosts of popular Star Trek podcasts, Bill.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty convenient. I wonder who you might mean in that regard.
There you go.
Wow, that's not in the copy at all. You can get your Tribble right now at sciencediv.com, and when it arrives, you can download the Section K7 app on your iOS or your Android phone. God, I can't speak tonight. What's going on? And you can give your Tribble a name. You can even choose what ship it's going to be assigned to. Plus, if you order your Tribble today, Science Division is giving Trek Geeks listeners a special $5 off the adoption of your Tribble. In addition to that, this week you can get all the Vegas goodies for your Tribble adoption. Order now and you'll get the Tribbles of Vegas cards and the free pixel art Tribble pin. Say that 10 times fast, Dan. Mm-hmm. So head on over to sciencediv.com right now to place your order. Then normally these furry little creatures go for $69.99, but because Tribbles have a very tranquilizing effect on the human nervous system, we want you to enter the special code GEEKS to really enjoy it. That's GEEKS in all capital letters. Use that code and you're going to get $5 off your adoption. This code is good now until August 19th, 2020 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time.
Science Division. Trouble's never been this fun. And we thank our friends at Science Division for sponsoring this week's episode, Bill.
Yes, we do. Love the Tribbles. Love
Yes.
Science Division. I'm sure Jade and Kaylee are out there. I've seen them commenting. Just a great little small business, and we love small business.
That we do, and it's so great. I mean, we were playing with them during the commercial. They're fun. It's fun, people. Okay. Anyway.
So back to questions,
Mm-hmm.
and this is a Trek Geeks related question.
Oh.
And it's from our friend Jason Marks. There was recently a Trek Geeks episode about Captain Janeway because of Voyager's 25th anniversary. Will there be an episode for Captain Benjamin Sisko at some point? I have to say the answer is most likely yes. The only reason it didn't happen during DS925 was that it didn't make the schedule.
Yeah.
That's a poor answer. It's the best one I have. We came up with the idea to do Janeway because we had wanted to talk about that particular character for some time, and it seemed that during the anniversary was probably the best time to do it. Yeah. We did more Sisko call-outs as far as episodes. Particularly, we did an episode called "The Dreamer in the Dream," which was about Far Beyond the Stars, and its impact. But we haven't done anything yet with regard to Sisko, Dan.
Yeah, and I also have to say, I think we'll eventually, we do character episodes quite frequently. We've done specific deep dives into characters. I know that eventually, even though you make the decisions on this podcast, and I don't have anything to do with those decisions, I'm sure we're gonna do a Captain Archer. We'll definitely do a Captain Sisko. He's, for the longest time, he was our favorite captain, and could probably still be, if not just for a tiny little captain called Captain Pike. But we'll get into that later. I think it was important for us to do a Janeway episode this year during Voyager 25, as you said, Bill. But part of the reason is, let's face it, the Voyager cast in the show has gotten the short end of the stick this year.
Yeah.
It is Voyager 25, and nobody can celebrate in person with them. And that really sucks. It really does. We were talking about that last week with Amy when we had her on talking about Janeway, and And, you know, people have been looking forward to this celebration for so long. I've said it 1,000 times. My wife and kids' favorite series is Voyager. It's now one of my favorite series when I did the rewatch. And the fact that we can't go to STLV or Chicago or any of these other big conventions to be with the cast and thank them is really too bad. So we wanted to make sure we did a Captain Janeway one. Long answer, but we are going to do a Captain Sisko one. Whether you say yes or no, we're doing a Captain Sisko episode, Bill.
Okay. No, I love Sisko. He's probably one of my favorite all-time Starfleet characters, Star Trek characters. I mean, should we have done one during DS925? Probably. But it was a content-rich environment that year.
Yeah, it was.
As it is every anniversary year, and it's tough to pick and choose. So, Dan, here's a question I know is going to be near and dear to both our hearts.
Okay.
Ryan Jeffs asks, "What's the best scene from Generations?" I'm going to say it's the one where all the ships take off and the end credits start rolling.
Wow. Okay. All right. That was pretty good. I do have to say that at the time, the crash scene of the saucer section was pretty intense. That was pretty cool. I like the special effects. I like the dirt flying up and everything like that. And yeah, Deanna caused the whole thing. That's a whole nother situation, Amy. We'll get into that some other day. But, I do like that scene. I also, I got to say, the whole, I don't know if it's, I guess I can't really call it my favorite scene because it's just so corny. The whole Tuesday part with Harriman, it's just, it's gotten to the point of watching it so many times that you get to see the guy from Ferris Bueller is actually a captain of the Enterprise, and you don't even know what to say to that. I do like the special effects of the Nexus as well. Some of those things are pretty cool. Yeah, yep. The Enterprise crashing.
I remember seeing Generations the night it opened, and as all of a sudden Alan Ruck appears on the screen as Captain John Harriman. And I scream out, "Hey, look, it's Cameron!" And the whole theater just started dying.
I'd like you to fire a photon, for Christ's sake.
Let my starship go.
Wow.
Thank you. That's Requests
right.
also taken as long as we can do it without annoying Spotify. Dan, here's another question. Well, actually, I have to say, Generation's not my favorite.
No, it isn't.
By any, I think it's the worst of all of the movies. I think that it's the one that fails at its only job, which is to bridge the two generations. Mm-hmm. It's got a terrible story. It's got terrible B stories. It's got a terrible death for Captain Kirk. Spoiler alert. And it's just not cohesive.
What?
The most impactful thing in the movie happens off screen, and that's the death of Robert and Renee.
Yes, that's
in France in a fire.
Yep.
The moment is just wasted. Yeah. I give Patrick Stewart all the credit in the world because he does his best to convey the emotion of that moment, and he's a damn fine actor. But the script was a series of check boxes on a list that the studio wanted, and Moore and Braga have admitted that. So
it's not my favorite movie. It's not the bottom of the list for me. I know that it is for you. I think Nemesis is my least favorite of the Star Trek movies, which is kind of funny because my parents are getting ready to watch Picard. And last week they wanted to know what things to watch, so I gave them Borg and Nemesis. And my dad calls me up and is all excited. "Oh my God, Nemesis was so good! And I'm telling you right now, B4 is going to be the new Data in Picard. I'm telling you right now." And I'm like, "Okay,
Dad."
But they like Nemesis, so whatever.
Actually, Ryan, I was serious. And Generations is the best Trek movie. You cannot change my mind. I'm not trying to.
Everyone's favorite is someone's least favorite.
That's it. You know, it's the champion rule in full effect. I hate it. So what can you do? Legacy Trek says the music is the best scene in
I don't disagree
in Generations. The opening theme sounds a lot like the Deep Space Nine theme, at least in its progression, and that's because the same guy wrote it, I think.
I think so. I got to say that one of the things that bothers me the most about that movie is what they did with Data. I did not like the attempts at humor that they had with him with his emotion chip, especially with when he's freezing up and he's got that god scary as hell face when he's like, I don't like what they gave Brent to work with in that.
Mr. Tricorder.
Yeah.
Ugh. Oh, I hate that scene with a passion. But we like to celebrate what we love.
Yes.
And that takes me to another question.
Oh, okay.
Which is, what are your thoughts on the Lower Decks theme music? I enjoyed the music more than Picard. What about you, Dan?
I think that this could become my favorite theme, especially of the modern Trek. I love the Discovery theme. I love the Picard theme. And when I found out that the Picard theme was actually an offshoot of something that you barely heard off in the distance in the inner light, I completely freaked out. I thought that I was showing everybody in my family the video, but Lower Decks is great. It really has a Star Trek feel to it. And when you add that great music to the hilarious opening credits, I think it just adds to that music. I'm a big fan of it. What about you, man?
I love the Lower Decks theme. I love how the first several notes of it are kind of reminiscent of the animated series theme.
Yep.
In that sort of quasi fanfare that happens at the beginning. I actually love the Picard music. I think it's sweeping and emotional.
Yeah.
And I think it fits Picard at that stage of his life. I don't think we're going to get some sort of, adventurous, rip-roaring, rousing theme that's meant for a hero. We're getting a man who's pretty contemplative at this phase of his life, and I think that music kind of emulates that.
It does.
But the Lower Decks theme, I think it's amazing. I think the composer is Chris Westlake. I might have his name wrong. But he did a fantastic job with that theme. Yeah. And the opening credits are hilarious.
They are. A lot of people have said this, and I agree. I also think it's part visual and part auditory. It's very Voyager reminiscent, especially at the beginning. Of course, you've got the hilarious part with the starship hitting that iceberg and just kind of falling off and losing power. All of the themes, when you listen to all of the themes, I gotta say, you know which one is my least favorite? Is TNG. It really is. And part of the reason I've really had a problem with TNG from the beginning is because they ripped it off from the motion picture. I mean, there's no debate about that. They took that theme from motion picture and turned it into TNG, and I've always had a problem with that because I love the music from the motion picture. But I've always loved the redo of Deep Space Nine's theme, the more upbeat one in the later seasons. Yeah. Love Voyager, but I really love Lower Decks, and I think Horizon pointed out it's cartoony. But I think it's supposed to be cartoony because, after all, it is a cartoon, and I like the sweeping music with those cartoony tones mixed in. If that makes any sense, man.
From you, not at all, but I understand what you're trying to convey. I think my favorite theme has to be the Voyager one, and I have a story. Oh, so back when Voyager was on first-run television on UPN, I had a miniature schnauzer. His name was Spock. And whenever the Voyager opening credits would come on, he would howl during the entire Voyager theme because he was singing along with it. And it was the most hilarious thing ever. Of course, this is back before cell phones. This is back before easily accessible video, and I didn't own a video camera. But that is my lasting memory of the Voyager theme. I think of that wonderful little dog every time I hear what we refer to as the wah-wahs. Because wah wah wah, yes. But he literally would howl from the first note to the end note, and when it was over, he'd stop.
I got a story too. You want to hear it?
Do I have a choice?
No. You made me think of something, which is a great memory. Even though I'm not a fan of the TNG, it's not like I'm not a fan. I like it. It's Star Trek. But when I was younger, when TNG was on for the first time, I'm going to put my sister Donna and her husband Chris on the spot here.
I love it.
And no, Alex Trebek was not in Insurrection, Donna. I'm going to say that live for everybody on the planet to hear. But anyway, back in the day, my nephew, who's now in his late 20s, was just a diaper-wearing little lad. When the TNG theme was playing on the TV, he would be standing there in his diaper, just hopping up and down on his legs, kind of singing it. I remember it to this day. It was hilarious. So yeah, that's my TNG memory.
That's pretty amazing. Have you brought this piece of information out at any family gatherings?
I think I have. I think we've talked about it before. He denies it, but he doesn't remember. He doesn't remember what he did 20 minutes ago.
No, he really doesn't.
It's like his uncle.
That is actually 100% true. Dan, as you can see at the bottom, we have a very special fun fact scrolling across the bottom of the screen for your sister.
There we go.
Fun fact, Alex Trebek was not in Star Trek Insurrection.
That is fantastic. I'm screenshotting that right now. She should be listening, and if she's not, we're going to have a problem.
It'd be better if she was watching, because she's not going to see it otherwise.
Well, that's true, too. That's what I meant. Because, I'm used to podcasting.
Yeah. Dan, We have another question about Trek villains. Do you think that Trek stories rely on too many bad guy mustache twirling villains? I feel like Trek is at its best when it's not just a bad guy, but a problem with ideology. What do you think?
I agree to that question to a point. I think that's a problem in the movies. We've seen that far too often in the movies. I mean, let's go. We got Khan, we got Krug, we've got Undiscovered Chang.
Chang got Claw.
Every movie has a twirly mustache villain, Nero. I mean, you just go on and on. So I think that's been overdone in the movies. I think the shows, especially the modern shows, have done a good job of having the villain be different ideologies, like Horizon said, and I think that's a credit to the writers' room of the series, and they did it also in the older shows, TNG, DS9, and to a point Voyager. But I think the movies is where the problem with that, I guess you could call it a trope, is.
I think to some extent, it's a movie. You want to tell a story that's going to captivate and put people in chairs for 2 hours, and after the perceived failure of Star Trek: The Motion Picture. By the studio, they wanted big and they wanted boom, and they went for it with Star Trek 2. And since then, since it's worked, that's kind of what they went with. I think with TV you get a mix. You have to have some villains, or else it doesn't always work. Should they tell more ideological stories, more non-bad guy stories like the Corbomite maneuver? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that I think we get some of that from time to time still. You look at the episode of I was in Obal for Karen, I think it is, with the sphere data. When Saru is dying in Star Trek Discovery, allegedly dying.
Oh,
and they meet up with that sphere, and they realize that the sphere is trying to give its data to someone before it can go on its merry way.
Right.
There's no bad guy in that episode.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because Helen says Star Trek 4 doesn't have a bad guy. Oh my God, there are so many bad guys in Helen. Madeline interrupted Scotty and McCoy. The soccer ball that came to Earth. Oh, the whales. How dare they become extinct? Oh my God, I'm so disappointed, Helen.
Star Trek 4 doesn't have one, but every other one does.
Right. Yeah. Star Trek 4 is considered one of the best ones out there. Also,
it's also considered the most approachable because non-Star Trek fans loved it in 1986.
Right.
They figured that they could capitalize on that with Star Trek 5, because Cybok's not really a bad guy.
No, he's not. No.
He just
wants to share your pain.
He's a bit of a cult leader, but he's not a bad guy.
Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
Drink it up.
Your pain runs deep.
Yeah, share it with me.
What do you know of my pain?
I need my pain.
Or we could just go off on Star Trek 5 quotes the whole night long. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I think that Star Trek has the ability to still do, non-bad guy stories. I think they still do. I think it's just a question of, Trek not being episodic anymore, or so far, because we don't have Strange New Worlds yet, which is allegedly supposed to be a little more episodic.
And that rumor is something I originally was like, oh, really? But the more I think about it, the more I think I'm going to look forward to that. As long as it's not, Spock's spine got severed in this episode when a container fell on his back, but he's going to be fine next week like we had with Worf. That would kind of be a problem. But if we don't have the season-long arc, I think that would be kind of neat to go back to those hour-long adventures that we used to see back in the day.
Dan, I have a different kind of question for you. That's one that's more Trek Geeks based. Ryan asks, what's your favorite, most proud of Trek Geeks episode?
Can I make you go first?
Nope.
Okay. I got two, I think, and one of them focuses on you, and one of them focuses on me. The one that focuses on you is the Saru episode that we talked about, and your wonderful article that you wrote for StarTrek.com regarding your anxiety. And the one for me was Captain Pursuit. We both had long discussions on whether or not we thought we were going to be able to do these episodes. So I think they're favorites because we were able to push through that concern and that nervousness and do them. And I think I'm most proud of them because our discussions, we have already been told over the course of time that our discussions have helped other people who are going through or were going through similar situations. So that's something that I'm proud of, because I've said, with all the stuff that I went through and all the pain and hell that happened, if I could prevent one person from committing suicide, then what I talked about freely on the show was worth it. And I think you feel the exact same way. Now, at the same time, I think the 50th anniversary episode that we had, where we had people call in with their comments, I'm extremely proud of that, because we got to get our listeners involved, talking about why they love Star Trek so much, and listening to all of those people tell their stories was extremely personal and gratifying for me. What about you?
I knew you were going to pick the two you picked initially, so I was going to pick two different ones, one of which you gave as your third one. So I'm going to round that up with the fourth one, which is the Jonathan Frakes live stream we did.
Oh, yeah.
Just 2 months ago this week, because the ability to raise money for Feeding America and feed so many people,
right?
It really leaves me kind of speechless, through everything that's going on and all the crap and all the tension and all the sickness. It gives me hope in humanity. I love Star Trek fandom, man. I tell you what, they step up and deliver every time you need them, whether it's in emotional support or, in this case, financial support to help raise some money.
Yeah.
And the fact that Jonathan Frakes helped us with it, it's a moment I'm damn proud of.
It was so much fun, and we can talk about, we're talking about the things that were important and the ones we're most proud of, but there are ones that we had so much fun doing. Andy Robinson's interview was one of the best. He was so much fun. He was at his office at college out in California. Somebody came in the middle of the interview because he had a question about something. Just that Alexander Siddig we had recently was another great one, where we get to talk to these people who lived Star Trek and was part of their career, telling those stories of behind the scenes and what it was like 20, 30, 35 years ago filming these TV shows. So much fun. I feel so honored and blessed to be able to talk to these people about what we love so much. So those are real fun ones for me.
I'll say, as the executive producer of Trek Geeks, we have never done a more impactful episode than Captive Pursuit. We've heard from people far and wide about how it has impacted them, and how that episode has been their captive pursuit in their own moment of feeling low and needing something to pull them out of it. I don't think that I wouldn't want to top that, and I don't think there's a way we could. Wow.
Oh, okay. Thanks. I don't know what to say. I've said it before. It was time to tell a story. It was time to explain why it was so important to me and what had happened. And on top of all that, being able to meet in person Cole Meany and Scott McDonald, who played Toss, to thank them and hug them for literally saving a person's life was something that I will never forget. And I'm just so happy that I've been able to help some people with it.
I want to take a moment to say greetings to Aaron Harvey and thank him for the amazing countdown video he did for this very broadcast that you saw tonight. Aaron, the co-host of Infinite Trek here on the Trek Geeks Podcast Network. Hey, Aaron.
Aaron, what's up?
Wyatt Stockdale asks, what's a mystery or loose end in Star Trek that they never went back to that you want to see answered? For example, like the parasites in TNG's Conspiracy.
Well, that's what I would have said. Conspiracy. That's one that I'm always like, oh my God, why haven't they gone back to finish that up? Now, for those of you, of course, that have listened, I'm a big book reader, and that does continue on in the books. And it's a great story. I think those books came out in the mid-'90s, I want to say, maybe early 2000. And they go through TNG and DS9. Remember the baby born in Friday's Child, Leonard James Akar? He's an admiral in Starfleet, and he has a very, very prominent role in that story. So Conspiracy is definitely one. Oh man, I gotta think for a second on that. I know there's a couple that I've had over time. I just gotta think real quick about what they were. Well, you tell us yours, Bill.
Oh, thank you, thank you so much. It's kind of amazing because I think that there are things that I want to see again, and then I decide ultimately that I don't. This is going to sound really dumb.
Coming from you?
Thank you for not letting me down.
Come on.
I kind of wanted Deep Space Nine to have another encounter with the aliens from If Wishes Were Horses. The ones that took the form of Buck
Wow.
Buckeye
Yeah.
and Jadzia Dax and Rumpelstiltskin. That was an early DS9 episode. It's not a great episode, but I would have loved to have seen something more. Kind of like, Enterprise gave us the ability to see the Organians again, an observer effect. I would have liked some of their exploration of those aliens. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. This really isn't, a loose thread because other things happen, but I would have liked to have seen what happened after In a Mirror Darkly Part 2 when Sato shows up as the new Empress.
And your mirror universe.
I know, but it's something I was like, wow, what happened after that? But I also got to say that there was an episode of Deep Space Nine. Oh God, I can't think of it. Because I'm trying to think of so many things at once. It's going out of my head. But the one with the planet where Jadzia fell in love with somebody and they were gonna disappear for 60 years or
Meridian.
something like that. Yeah, Meridian. Thank you. That's one that's always been interesting to me as well.
A lot of people don't like that episode.
I'm
love
not a
it.
huge fan of it. I like it. I don't love it, but it still would be interesting. Because Jadzia, Jadzia didn't keep living, but Ezri Dax does. Would have been interesting to see what happens 60 years later when that planet shows up again.
Her Jadzia's love interest in that episode is terrible. There's no chemistry there whatsoever, and I think that's what people dislike about the episode the most.
Yep.
I love the concept, and I love the reaction that Terry has at the very end. So, we're joining Starfleet, apparently.
Okay.
What division do you want to be in, Dan?
I've always wanted to be in command.
Really?
You know that? Yeah. Yep. Life or death.
With your command of the English language?
My command of the English language doesn't matter when I just point at people and tell them to do something. I just, everybody, it could be cliche, but everybody always wants to be a captain, or most people. I think that would be where I would fit best.
Interesting. I'm gonna say engineering and operations. I'm a red shirt man through and through.
You are, yeah.
I'm an engineer today, albeit a systems engineer, partly because of my love for Star Trek. I have to go with Scotty on this one. Scotty was my favorite TOS character growing up, as much as I love Captain Kirk. But
Yeah.
engineering.
If I had to choose a second one, if I couldn't choose command, let's say that you were already captain, which
Or you
is the
flunked out.
funniest thing I've ever heard. I would security. I get to shoot people, which is always fun. And and Odo. Odo's my favorite character, and he was head of security on the station. So I think I would like to be head of security.
The goal is not to shoot people, right?
That's your goal. My goal is to keep people quiet. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
Mark asks, what Trek uniforms do you love, hate? I'll go first if you want.
Okay.
I'm going to say I love the TNG First Contact uniforms with the gray and the black. Mm-hmm. I love the Monster Maroons from Wrath of Khan.
Yep.
I even love the space pajamas from Star Trek: The Motion Picture. I think those are just fun. I hate the Voyager jumpsuit. The one that started on Deep Space Nine is the alternate duty uniform.
Yes.
I hate that uniform with a passion. I'm sorry that they got stuck in the Delta Quadrant for 7 years with that particular uniform because it's just terrible.
I'm not a fan of the season 1 jumpsuits on TNG. I love when they in season 3 when they started wearing the uniform tops. I love those uniform tops, and they're like, from what I understand, they were like $3,000 a piece to make those things. I mean, they were high quality, and I've always loved those. I initially was not a huge fan of the Discovery uniforms, but I have grown to like them a lot more.
Yeah, I do too.
And I hate to say this because he's Odo. I don't like the Bajoran security uniforms. I don't
like the Bajoran uniforms, period.
But yeah. Let's just go with Bajoran uniforms. And yeah, I'm not a big fan of those. I will also say that the re-imaged TOS blue, yellow, and reds in Discovery Season 2 are fantastic. I really like what they did with those.
Gersha Phillips is an amazing costume designer. Yeah. I love what she did to sort of update that look. That's why I bought one of those knockoff disco red shirts
Yeah.
off of eBay because I wanted to wear that baby at STLV last year. So I should have worn that tonight.
I know. I was actually thinking one of the ones I want to say. I love the Admiral Picard uniform in Picard when they had flashbacks. I got one in my closet
Yeah.
that I was going to cosplay this year.
Yeah.
It'll wait till next year, but that is I love the striping in that with the gold and the red. So that's definitely a big thumbs up for me.
Dan, for your adoring public, we have a softball question.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Wyatt,
Dan, are tribbles dangerous?
Wyatt and Bill, I got to tell you from the very bottom of my heart, triples are not dangerous. Now, tell the story, Bill. Go ahead. How much do you love that saying?
I hate it with every fiber of my being. In fact, we had gotten to a point on the behind the scenes of the podcast where I had said, "Don't do that line effing ever again."
And I didn't until people told me
And
to.
then no,
You did.
and then our friends at Science
Division.
came calling. I said, "Well, we have to use the line."
Yeah.
And I'm not blaming Science Division at all. We love Jay. We love Kaylia.
Yes.
But that line almost went away.
Almost.
Almost. I hate Cyrano Jones. So there was a question earlier which I couldn't find back in the list again. It was your least favorite Star Trek character. So we'll take that one next before we start to wrap up. Cyrano Jones is one of mine, but as far as my series regular that's least favorite, I am not a fan of Pavel Chekhov.
Right. I know you were.
I
not a
never
fan of
have
his.
been. I love Walter Koenig. I appreciate his contributions to the Star Trek franchise. I'm just not a fan of that character. And Jay and Kaylia, it's okay.
No, believe me, Jay and Kaylee, keep it going. I want that thing to go. I'm going to when he's dead and buried or whatever, and he's going to have a headstone. I am going to break into the cemetery with a chisel, and I am going to tie a chip in that thing. Tribbles are not dangerous on Bill's gravestone.
I will haunt you for the rest of your days.
You already do. Yeah.
So your least favorite regular series character?
Regular series character, I gotta say, I can't say that. I'm not gonna say that. That wouldn't be very good. For a long time, I think it was Neelix. That is no longer the case, though.
Sure.
So I don't know if I can really say. I can't really say that because he really isn't anymore. I don't know. I don't know. I gotta say, I was not a big Tasha Yar fan either. I didn't, and that's not Denise's fault. I just think that. Okay,
Desiree. Sorry, I had to put that up. Desiree's going to put triples are not dangerous on a shirt. Thank you, Desiree.
That's great.
Much love.
I just didn't think that the writers gave her anything to do, and sometimes, even though Denise did, as well as she could, it just didn't come through. I think for me anyway, but that's just me. That's just the way I gotta say. That's just what I'm going with.
I don't want to end on a serious note,
Yeah.
but there's a question that literally just came in that I want to talk about because it's about a topic you and I are very passionate about or passionate against, and it's gatekeeping. It's going to cover our face a little bit, but Carlton asks, worst interaction with Trek fans? My 13-year-old and I watched Lower Decks last week. Today he got crushed by the reviewers on YouTube who are ripping the hell out of it. He also gets pummeled because his favorite Trek movie is Beyond. Some Trek fans piss me off because I'm trying to grow his fandom and people are killing it. Maybe the fact he gets hurt by the opinions of these gatekeepers is evidence of his fandom. Carlton, it absolutely is.
Ugh.
I mean, our cardinal rule is that if you love something about Star Trek, you're a fan, and you don't need to prove your credentials to anybody. There are people out there who live to just crap on anything new, and it doesn't matter if it's Discovery or Picard or short treks or Lower Decks. There are going to be people who crap on Strange New Worlds, and all they want to do is seem like they're in a position of authority so they can get clicks on YouTube for revenue.
Right.
And I have no use for people like that. There was a troll in the comments here earlier that I saw that we just decided to ignore because people are always going to find a way to crap on something. We don't claim to be experts about anything. We're not. We're just not. We don't produce Star Trek. We don't write Star Trek. We don't make Star Trek. We're two nerds behind microphones who talk about the thing they love, and that's what fandom should be. If I know people who love Discovery, I know people who hate Discovery. It doesn't minimize their fandom in any way, Dan.
I think the best way for me to answer that question, the worst interaction with Trek fans is social media. One of the best inventions of our day has turned into the worst invention of our day, and that's social media, because you got anonymous jerkwads that get behind a keyboard and say whatever they want anonymously and think that they are running the show. And it's disgusting to see what happens. Just because you don't like something, don't get on your high horse and tell everybody else how much it sucks because you think it does, because you're wrong. We talked about it all the time. Somebody's least favorite is somebody's favorite, and it's exactly the opposite. There's no reason for you to get on somebody's case, especially a kid, for crying out loud. Carl, I really feel bad for that your son's getting pummeled with that. That is just horrendous. And Jason says it great. All Star Trek is good Star Trek. If you don't like it, fine. There are going to be people who are going to bitch about it all the time because they don't think it's, quote, their Star Trek, because their Star Trek was in 1969 and 1970 or the mid-'80s. It changes. Everything changes. Everything evolves. If you don't like it, fine, don't watch it. But you don't have to go around telling everybody else how wrong they are. It really can get aggravating to see some of the things that are said on social media in regards to gatekeeping. And it really, it's absolutely right. People who want to become fans are being forced away from it because of this kind of blather.
You know, back in the late 90s and 2000s, when the internet was just sort of coming alive, people used to crap on Rick Berman all the time.
Yeah.
And complain about him and say how he was ruining Star Trek. And now you get 25 to 30 years down the road and people think Berman was the second coming of Gene Roddenberry to some extent. Like they forgot all of the stuff they used to complain about. I couldn't agree more with Aaron Harvey. Promote what you love instead of bashing what you hate. That's what Camp Kittimer's about, our Facebook group. That's what we try to be about. Yeah, we're all going to have likes and dislikes in the Star Trek franchise. It doesn't mean we can't celebrate why we love the thing.
Absolutely. And you know what I love? I love what Aaron just said in response to the Desiree making a T-shirt. He says that he's going to design it. And you know that that's going to be awesome. So I can't wait to see that one.
Crap. All right, Dan, so last question of the night. It's one that got buried a couple of times. And so I want to give Helen her due. All-time best and worst of Dan's Farkisms. Now, in all candor, I'm going to say I can't remember most of them. However, you keep a database.
I do.
You have every single Farkism you've ever used in any episode of Trek Geeks.
Yeah.
There's one that I thought was really good, and I don't know if you track my responses.
I don't.
It's probably only two that I thought were good.
Wow. That's low.
I think you did Fark be on the stars at one point, right?
I did. Yep.
I think I liked that one.
Yep.
If I'm going to talk about the worst of them, I think they're all the worst except that one.
Wow, that's kind of opposite of what I was going to say, but okay. I think your favorite was Farquiel. You really liked that one.
I did like Farquiel.
You did like that one, yeah. I like that one. But I got to say, it's like kids. They're all your favorite. So that's what I'm going to say right there, Helen. They're all my favorite.
Actually, I lied because I said that was the last one. It's not. One more that got buried from our dear friend Allie Martinez, the 24, soon to be 25-year-old Trekkie. What are our favorite Ensign Rolaren moments? Hi, Allie. Hope everything's great in Okinawa.
Yes.
Hope you and your husband are doing well.
The Daystrom Institute.
So you have a favorite Ensign Ro moment?
I don't know. I like that she stood up for what she believed in. When she decided to leave the Enterprise. It was not an easy decision because I know how much she cared about Picard and what he thought of her. But at the same time, it's like Mariner on Lower Decks. I like her because she stands up for what she believes in and she doesn't back down from it. Yeah. So I think that. And also, oh my God, Allie, my favorite Rolaren moment was the picture that you gave me of you as Rolaren. Come on.
That is the correct answer.
Thank you. What about you,
man? I have to say, I think that my favorite Rolaren moment probably it's at the beginning. Honestly, I think I appreciate the way she comes aboard and the way she's just not having anything, to do with Picard or Riker. She's like, "Yeah, I'm here, whatever." Let's just do this thing and get it over with because you don't want me here any more than I'm here. I think Michelle Forbes does a great job of acting the hell out of that moment. And then when she goes undercover, for the Maquis, I think it's Preemptive Strike, the penultimate episode of the series, I think.
Yep.
I do love some of her interactions with the older Bajoran guy. I think it's in that episode.
Yes. What Ryan says is was going to be my favorite comedic moment is when she did phaser him in the head when he was frozen in time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Dan.
Oh, wait a minute. Wrong. No, it wasn't frozen in time.
No,
Sorry.
it wasn't Frozen
Wrong
in Time.
episode. Timescape. Sorry.
Timescape. Frozen in Time. That sounds like a Disney movie.
Oh, it sounds like. Oh yeah, I'm gonna sing a song about that.
No,
No.
you don't. Dan, that kind of does it for Ask Us Anything.
Wow.
We want to thank everybody for your questions and participating. Always fun. We're going to try to do another live stream probably coming up next month at some point because we love doing them. It's not the kind of thing we could do with any regularity because we can barely figure out technology as it is.
Plus, we can't do it too often because they're looking at us, and that's just not right.
You know who they get to look at now, Dan?
Oh, that.
You may not know this, but they may get to look at our dear friends, the band 5 Year Mission, whom we want to thank for all the music they let us use here on the podcast. You heard one of their tracks, "The Ultimate Computer," in the countdown video earlier tonight.
Yeah.
They were the theme of the Trek Geeks podcast, all the themes, all the bumper music you would normally hear. And they're just 5 great guys. Plus, they have a podcast here on this very network now, Dan. And did you know that it is called 5 Year Mission, the podcast? Drops fortnightly on Mondays.
Wow. I want to thank the brains behind the ingenious name of that podcast. That's pretty good. Yeah.
It's right here, baby.
They have, do you know, Bill, that they have 6 albums right now? They have 6 albums out there for anyone to go purchase on their website, which is pretty cool.
What are they?
They're year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. So that's 4 years worth of a 3-year series. And then they also have Trouble with Tribbles and Spock's Brain. There is so much music to love. But I got to tell you, we talk about it every week. I have to bring it up. I watched another episode. Actually, I watched 2 episodes this time, Bill. I'm enjoying Voyager 25 so much. It's all year long we're talking about it. You got to admit that this particular 2-parter was great because there were so many good moments in it. And there's some great characters and aliens in this episode. Some of the aliens are pretty scary. Some of them are ugly, uglier than you, actually. So that's really saying something.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah. And they're dangerous. They want to destroy the Borg, and they want to play drums across the universe as well as their home realm in some form of subspace. Don't let them touch you either, because you'll get all gooey and gross and have things coming out of your nose like Ensign Kim did. And I know you know what I'm talking about. You need to fear them. You need to fear them as the Borg fear them. For they are species 8 Fark 7-2.
Oh, dear great bird of the galaxy.
They are crazy scary. 8 Fark 7-2.
Even Ryan Jeff's like, oh boy, here it comes. Yeah. Sorry, man.
There it goes. Out of the park.
No. No. That was fouled back into the hot dog stand. That's 5yearmission.net. Please go get all their albums, become a huge fan, because we guarantee you're going to become one. Don't forget, too, you can subscribe. I can't say that word today. To bonus content via Patreon. You get all kinds of exclusive perks like laptop stickers and T-shirts and our unparalleled annual supporters pin, which we produce with our friends at Fansets each and every year, Dan.
Absolutely. Can't wait for this new one coming out. We want to take a moment right now to thank our associate producers for Trek Geeks. We are so grateful for their support. So thank you, Dave Andrews, Vikram Bhatt, Luke Burnham, Brad DeMag, William Edward M. Jr., Brandon Everidge, Andy Fark, Kimberly Francis, Jonathan Hamilton, Brooke Horton, Ryan Jeffs, John Krikorian, Sean Lynn, Jamie McGregor, Aaron Mollenkoff, Shane Murray, Tim Robertson, Greg Rozier, Eric Sakian, Adam Sanders, Tim Serdar, Heather Sohn, Lisa Tomlinson, Jessica Dax Vincent, Trey Womack, Ron Robel,
and the gracious and wonderful Conrad Hutchins.
I'm so glad that you do that. Dan, of course, we want to thank our Patreon producers. They are Mike Bovia, Chaz Bradshaw, Ken Bird, Kyle Castillo, Peter Craig, Rachel Delaney, Craig Ewing, Jackie and Chris Hackney, Kimberly Hartman, David Hood, Steph Lescu, Leonel Marchand, Matt McGonigal, Jim McMahon, Charlie Mulvey, Sean O'Halloran, Jamie Rogers, some guy named Casey Shafsky, Chris Trebuzio, Ken Tripp, Christina Werther, and the lovely and talented Jess Vashon.
You too can become a producer of the Trek Geeks Network, and it is so easy to do. Just head on over to patreon.com/TrekGeeks for all the details.
Dan, next week, Voyager 25 continues with a discussion on a 2-parter that we both gave a thumbs up to on See It or Skip It.
And I just talked about it in my Farkism and just
I know.
realized it. That's
I
kind of
know.
amazing. I was writing this stuff up and didn't even realize it. Yeah, we both gave it a thumbs up. And I think Marina gave it a thumbs up too, but she also had 16 see-its in a row. So I just want to throw that out there. Yes, next week we are going to discuss the epic start to Season 4 of Voyager, The Borg, Species 8472, The Northwest Passage, Harry Kim suffering more than ever, and the introduction of 7 of 9, tertiary adjunct of Unimatrix 01. It's Scorpion parts 1 and 2 next week on Trek Geeks, your flagship for the Trek Geeks Podcast Network.
That was very dramatic. I wasn't prepared for this.
I was trying to do something dramatic.
Dan, of course, for more great Star Trek discussion, we want everyone to check out the member podcast of the Trek Geeks Podcast Network. So many podcasts. In fact, there's the brand new Infinite Trek with our friend Aaron Harvey, who we mentioned mere moments ago. The audio-only version of that is available on Tuesdays. And, of course, some little show called Discovering Trek is back weekly on Mondays for the next 23 weeks, Dan. We just released Lower Decks Episode 1 today, actually, right?
Episode 1, Second Contact. Yeah. There you go.
Okay. Well, hey, thanks for that insight.
It was fun,
So to find them all, including where to listen, go to trekgeeks.com/listen. And of course, for all the news on all the Star Trek CO, please visit our great friends at Trek News for treknews.net. For now, this has been episode number 228 of the Trek
There
Geeks
you go.
podcast. Thank you. We do hope you all live long and prosper.
Coconut.
What is that?
That's my coconut drink. I've been waiting all night to say what I had in there.
Yeah.
It's my, yeah.
We're just going to go right into the outtake.
Yeah.
Bing bong!
Hey, Bing Bong Live.
Bing Bong Live. It's only the second time we've ever done the outtake at the very end
It doesn't make
of
any
the
sense.
show.
I don't get it. I don't know what's going on. You're screwing with time, baby.
I'm a Time Lord.
You're a Time Lord?
Yeah, and Aaron brings up a good point. Yes, Brandy Jackala is the co-host of Infinite
Oh,
Trek.
absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
She wasn't here, so we didn't call her out.
Right.
That's what you get for missing staff meetings, Doctor.
Yes. When you're not around, I don't think of you either, Bill. So I guess, whatever.
Really?
Oh, God, yeah.
That's not true. I live rent-free in your head.
No, you don't. No,
No.
you don't.
No,
I
so
do write about you sometime.
I don't know why that made me laugh. The thought of you putting a pen to paper to actually write down something when you can barely speak the English language.
I know, really. I did pretty good tonight, though.
So we talk about this a little bit on Discovering Trek. How much do you love Lower Decks?
I love Lower Decks. Now, can't say anything about it, but most people have seen episode 1. We have had the honor of being able to see episodes 2 and 3. I love Lower Decks. It is I'm going to just say this. Episode 1 wasn't a fluke, people. This show is going to kick ass, and I think it's great. I think it's fantastic to have this kind of Star Trek now. And I've said it before. We've all said it now with COVID-19 and everything. But it's a breather. It's a breath of fresh air. You're not worrying about the Borg and the Romulans and who's going to die and who's going to live. This is a fun show. It's a fast-paced show. There's a lot of fast dialogue in it, which I thought was like, oh, that's going to be a problem. But it's not. It really fits the show. The Mike McMahon is a god right now to me. What he has done in that show and just what we've seen so far is phenomenal. The attention to detail and the Star Trek canon and Easter eggs is unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable.
I love it. I wasn't sure if I would or not, and I think any doubt of that was gone inside of the first 5 minutes. I was excited for it. I wanted to see, what it had to tell us, but it definitely is different, and I think that it works beautifully in the Star Trek universe.
What I find interesting is I like the episode Lower Decks, but it was never one that I'm like, oh my God, this one's so great. I've changed in my old age to that. I now like it a lot more than I did. And I will admit, when we first heard that there was a new animated series coming out, I'm like, oh, okay. And then when we found out what it was going to be about, I was like, oh, okay. Completely blew me away. I was so happy and so impressed with what we saw, and I can't wait to see more of it.
So we're going to continue the theme of asking us anything because Marina asked us a question. Which legacy Trek character would you like to see on Lower Decks? And no, she doesn't mean Mike or Emily.
I'm sorry, this is the outtake, Marina. We're done with that. Can you please not bother us with questions? I'm just kidding.
What a dick.
It's the outtake. I'm supposed to be like that.
It's live.
Or Memorex.
It's live.
Okay, all right. No, we love answering questions from Marina.
And you love Marina, so cut it out.
She is great. She's fantastic. What legacy Trek character would I like to see on Lower Decks? I'd love to see Dr. Bashir again. Have him show up. It takes place after Nemesis. So, have them show up at the station and have him still be there as Chief Medical Officer, McCoy's age now or something. I don't know. What about you?
I'm going to go the full Riker.
Riker would be good. Riker would be very good. Yeah.
I figured there's a good shot of that.
Yeah, there really is.
There's a good chance. I'd love to see the Titan. That would be fantastic.
They've talked about Deanna already, so maybe we'll see her.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But I'm also excited for Prodigy. I have a feeling that's going to welcome in a whole new audience. I have Nickelodeon. I haven't watched it, I think, since the 80s. I'm willing to turn it on to watch Star Trek Prodigy.
Oh, definitely. I've never watched Nickelodeon, I don't think ever, but I would certainly watch it for this. I guess their story came out today. They named a director or something. I didn't read the whole thing, but
there's a shock.
I can't read two's good anyway, but I was busy prepping for the show to make sure it was of the highest quality, so I saw the headline and I filed it for later reference, sir.
So clearly you failed in your task.
Oh, yeah, you're the one controlling the buttons. I'm just sitting here looking good.
Yeah, but if you did all the prep. Aaron Harvey says Tom Riker. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
That's a Riker. That's a fit. Yeah. When does Lower Decks take place? It takes place post Nemesis.
Yes, about a year from what I've read. About a year after Nemesis, it takes place.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just the attention to detail. I read an article the other day about why the Cerritos has a yellow stripe on it and that other ships have a blue stripe on it. And that's just fantastic.
I do too. Jason Marks, he and I are simpatico on this one. I still can't believe you've never seen one of the Hallmark 80s shows. You can't do that on television on Nickelodeon.
Is that the gel stuff dropping on people's heads?
It's called Slime.
Slime, rather. See, that's because I haven't seen it. I've seen clips. I never watched an episode. It's like, okay, here we go, people. So because the people are going to be shocked in this one. I've never watched a full episode of The Simpsons in my life.
Why do you hate freedom?
I don't like The Simpsons. I've never liked them. Never. The only time I've seen a Simpsons episode is when they guest starred on Family Guy.
So if you haven't watched a full episode, how do you know you don't like it?
Because what I have seen, I haven't liked.
Huh.
The only one that I've seen almost close to a full one was the Halloween episode with the hash-slinging slasher.
I'm amazed you made it through that phrase.
Yeah, that's why I said it so slow.
Hash-slinging slasher.
Yep. Yeah. And to me, you're Patrick, so there's no reason for me to watch the show.
Wow. Wow.
Yep. So yeah, it's just never something, and that's one of the longest running series ever in television history, and number of episodes. But it's just never something I've had any interest in watching at all.
Wow.
Don't know why. And so the same for the Nickelodeon Slime Machine show. Yeah.
That was a live action show.
Action?
Live action.
Okay.
As opposed to animated.
Okay, I'll tell you right now, you better give somebody some crap for this one right here.
I've given Robert plenty of crap for that.
Okay.
He's never seen a full episode. There's no helping Robert. He also loves Sub Rosa. Dan takes a sip of his coconut drink.
I take a sip of my drink. Yes.
Yeah. Robert, which sweater do you have on tonight?
Doesn't matter. Do you really think it matters, Eddie?
It does. Red or blue. He's going to come back and say, I have the Wesley sweater on.
Oh, I got that red on.
Because he posted, I think, that photo today or whatever.
I'm almost on season 2 of The Office.
You're going to get to casino night pretty quickly.
Oh, boy. Sub Rosa is good.
No, it's not.
No, it's not great.
No, Sub Rosa's not good. Although Rewind is doing Sub Rosa this week. It'll be released on Thursday.
Yes. I'm sure
Haley and Sarah take on that horrible episode. One of the few dogs directed by Jonathan Frakes. It's not his fault.
Not his fault, and that should be an interesting conversation in itself. Just the fact that they're talking about Beverly and a candle on Rewind, because you never know what's going to happen.
Robert's not wearing a sweater.
Oh.
Dear God, man.
Oh,
what's
my.
wrong with the world? Are you feeling okay?
I don't want to ask what he is wearing, but
Just stop. This is a PG show.
it's the outtake, though.
It's PG.
For put on some glows. No,
Just put on some
sorry.
GD pants, Dan.
I might have pants on.
Jason asks how my Babylon 5 watch is going. It hasn't yet begun. It was supposed to begin on my long weekend this past weekend. I didn't do a damn thing that I had intended to do all weekend long, and
go.
I'm kind of annoyed by it.
I have not started mine either. I do know that I can borrow friends' Plex server information and watch away.
Oh, no, my friend. I bought all 5 seasons on Amazon because they were on sale.
Oh, well, okay. Well, I'll just borrow yours then.
It's on Amazon Prime.
Just give me your login then.
Incorrect. Incorrect, mon frere.
It's only $22. Maybe I'll have my wife buy it for me. Sorry.
Why can't you just pony up and buy it yourself?
Because it's Babylon 5. No, I'm just kidding.
It's not like it's Firefly.
Ouch. Oh. All right, so Blake, I got a story for you. The other night, I put on the first episode of the redo of Battlestar Galactica, where it had been 40 years since the Cylons had been seen, and there's a colonial officer in the space station by himself, and they just wait for the Cylons to show up, which they never do. But then this time, the Cylons show up and blow up the station. And right after that scene was done, my wife was like, "This is boring. I don't want to watch it." So we shut it off.
You really should watch it after you're done The Office.
I do want to watch it, and I think I can talk her into doing it. So we'll see. And if not,
Now,
well, I'll just make it.
People wonder why I keep giving Dan crap about The Office. It's because I've been trying to get him for 6 years to watch the show. Initially, it took him 3 years to watch Step Brothers after I actually bought him the DVD and had it mailed to his house.
Yes.
So this is not aberrant behavior for Dan. This is
isn't.
expected behavior.
But you know what? Step Brothers is now so appreciated in my house that even when it's on and I put it on, my wife laughs at it.
It's just so fun. Did we just become best friends? Yup.
Catalina wine mixer. Can't say what I want to say, though, because it's a PG-13 show.
Don't lose your dinosaur, Dan.
I want to punch you right in the sucker.
Chewbacca masks. It's okay that mine's not movie quality.
Yeah, that's a good one.
My wife loves to throw out random Step Brothers quotes just in our lives. And it's the funniest thing ever.
It's cool. Cool stuff.
All right, buddy.
You picked a good one. Hey, this was a lot of fun, man.
It really was.
And want to thank all of the people that chipped in, as usual. It's so awesome to see all the people here and sending message and sending us tidings of great joy and gratitude. You know.
Everybody out there is the reason why we do this.
Yeah.
We love talking about Star Trek. We've always said we'll do it till it's not fun, and everybody who listens make it the most fun every single time. So I love doing these live things every now and then. We'll definitely do another one, hopefully coming up soon.
Sure, I'm all for it, and I'm sure you will be, and I'm sure you'll tell me when it's going to happen.
That's usually how these things go.
Absolutely. Or I'll
Everybody,
with my batleth.
have a great night. Live long and prosper.